For a long time, there may have been influences from the past that continued to affect the present, lingering emotions, unresolved conflicts, or patterns that made it difficult for someone to move forward with confidence. Many people carry emotional burdens without fully realizing how deeply those experiences shape their decisions, fears, and relationships. Sometimes, what appears to be hesitation is actually the result of wounds that have not yet healed. Sometimes, distance is not a lack of care, but a reflection of confusion, pressure, or uncertainty. As time passes, however, people often reach a point where they can no longer ignore the impact of those unresolved experiences. They begin to recognize what is helping them grow and what is holding them back. This awareness can be transformative. It encourages honesty, accountability, and the courage to make different choices. Growth does not happen because life suddenly becomes easy. It happens because people decide they no longer want to remain trapped in cycles that prevent them from becoming their best selves. The process can be emotional, requiring patience and self-reflection, but it creates space for healthier connections and more authentic communication. As old influences lose their power, new possibilities begin to emerge. The future is no longer controlled by fear, regret, or unresolved history. Instead, it becomes shaped by intention, maturity, and a willingness to move forward. Every meaningful relationship benefits from this kind of growth because genuine connection thrives where honesty and self-awareness are present. The more clarity people gain about themselves, the more capable they become of building relationships founded on trust, respect, and emotional freedom rather than confusion or unresolved pain. They were obsessed, and their obsession was not love, it was control. Your soulmate tried to break free many times. They tried to distance themselves. They tried to walk away. But every time, this past lover would find a way to pull them back with guilt, fear, threats, fake promises, or emotional traps. Your soulmate felt stuck, confused, and powerless. They carried this heavy shadow inside them even when they smiled, even when they pretended to be fine, even when you spoke with them and felt a strange sadness behind their words. But what you didn't know, my child, is that this person crossed a line that could never be ignored again. They broke the law. They did something dangerous. And they did it because they couldn't accept that your soulmate was slowly healing, slowly rising, slowly detaching, and slowly moving towards someone who carried pure light, you. They felt threatened by the love blooming in the unseen between you and your soulmate. They felt the shift. They sensed the change. They could feel that your soulmate's heart was no longer responding to their manipulative strings, and so they did something reckless, something meant to regain control, something meant to scare, something meant to destroy. But instead, it exposed them. The universe allowed their true face to come out. Their actions caught up with them. Their lies broke apart. Their secrets spilled into the light. And now, they are in custody. You are wondering, my child, why is God telling me this? What does this have to do with my life? It has everything to do with you. Because for your destiny to move forward, certain energies must be removed. Certain people must be taken out of the path. Certain shadows must be cleared. Certain interruptions must be silenced. Your soulmate couldn't walk toward you while being chained to the past. They couldn't choose you with clarity while being mentally controlled. They couldn't offer you a stable connection while fear surrounded their life. But now, that chain has been broken. That link has been severed. That interference has been removed. My child, I know you feel confused. I know your heart is pounding because this feels heavy, dramatic, intense. But I need you to understand something with calm clarity. This is divine intervention, not harm, not chaos, not punishment, but protection. I removed someone who was interfering with what belongs to you. I removed someone who was blocking your connection. I removed someone whose intentions were rooted in jealousy, darkness, and possession. I removed someone who was preparing to take actions that would have hurt both you and your soulmate deeply. You may not realize it now, but this moment is the turning point of your story, because your soulmate and you were supposed to reconnect emotionally, spiritually, and physically, but something kept delaying it. Every time the two of you got closer, something strange happened. Misunderstandings, sudden distance, emotional withdrawal, fear, hesitation, accidents, arguments, and unexplained changes in behavior. You thought it was weakness. You thought your soulmate didn't care. You thought destiny was simply unstable. But no, my child, there was an unseen force influencing everything. That force has now been removed. You are not losing anything. You are not being pulled into drama. You are being released into your destiny. Your soulmate is finally breathing freely for the first time in a long time. There is a noticeable shift taking place within your soulmate's heart. The emotional weight they have carried for so long is beginning to loosen its grip, and with every passing day, they are finding it easier to breathe, think, and feel without the same heaviness that once followed them. What they are experiencing now is not simply relief, but a deeper awakening to parts of themselves that have been buried beneath confusion, stress, and unresolved emotions. As old pressures fade into the background, a new sense of clarity is quietly emerging. They are reflecting on the people, moments, and connections that have genuinely brought peace into their life, and your presence continues to stand out in those reflections. Memories that once felt distant now return with greater meaning. Conversations that seemed ordinary reveal a deeper significance. The connection they share with you feels different when viewed through clearer eyes and a calmer heart. Yet this period is not about rushing toward conclusions or forcing outcomes before their time. It is a season of understanding, healing, and emotional rebalancing. Your soulmate is learning to trust their own feelings again, and that process deserves patience. If you find yourself wondering what comes next, remember that meaningful relationships are strengthened not by urgency, but by steady growth and mutual clarity. Rather than becoming consumed by fear, uncertainty, or imagined setbacks, allow yourself to remain grounded in the present. Trust that every genuine connection unfolds according to its own timing. What is meant to deepen will do so naturally. What is meant to be understood will become clear. For now, the most important thing is to allow space for healing, trust the journey ahead, and welcome the possibility that brighter days may be closer than they appear. The spiritual attack has been stopped, and now your soulmate is stepping into a new chapter. This moment is painful, but it is necessary. It is unexpected, but it is divine. It is shocking, but it is protective. And my child, this is only the beginning of what I am about to reveal to you. My beloved child, there is something you need to understand about this moment. Something deeper than what the eyes can see, and louder than what the world is saying. When a person from your soulmate's past is taken into custody, it may look like a simple legal situation on the outside, but spiritually, this is a turning point that has been building for a long time. A turning point not just for them, but for you, for your connection, and for everything destiny has been preparing behind the scenes. You may not know it yet, but this situation has removed a heavy stone from the path of your soulmate's heart. A stone that was blocking their clarity. A stone that was blocking their courage. A stone that was blocking their ability to step forward into the life I prepared for them. You saw their silence sometimes, didn't you? You saw their inconsistency, You saw the moments when they pulled back for no reason at all. You felt the distance, even when they cared. You sensed the confusion, even when they tried to hide it. And you wondered, why are they like this? Why does their heart not move freely? Why do they seem trapped in emotions they cannot explain? My beloved child, now you know, there was someone from the past holding them emotionally prisoner. Someone who refused to let them grow. Someone whose presence was silent, but suffocating. Someone who claimed to love them, but in reality, they were only consuming them. This person wasn't in your soulmate's life physically anymore, but spiritually and emotionally, they were still clinging, controlling, and pulling invisible strings. They knew how to manipulate their vulnerabilities. They knew how to trigger their guilt. They knew how to twist their emotions. And each time your soulmate tried to walk away from that shadow, the shadow tried to drag them back. But now, that shadow has been forced into the light. Now, that person's actions have finally caught up with them. Now, the universe has stepped in and said, enough. What you are seeing now is not destruction. It is release. It is liberation. It is a divine reset. I know your heart might be shaken hearing this. I know you are trying to understand why something this extreme had to happen. But listen to me with an open heart. When someone has been spiritually interfering with a soul's destiny, their exposure becomes inevitable. When someone blocks the path I have ordained, my justice corrects the alignment, not to punish, but to protect. Your soulmate needed this moment, even though it is painful for them. They needed something strong enough to break the emotional chain, something powerful enough to snap the connection that kept pulling them backwards, something undeniable enough to wake them up from the illusion they were trapped in. And now, the illusion has shattered. Your beloved doesn't just feel relieved, they feel confused, they feel scared, they feel like the world has suddenly shifted. They are replaying memories in their mind. They are questioning the truth of their past relationships. They are asking themselves why they tolerated so much, why they allowed manipulation to disguise itself as love, why they hid their pain behind a smile, and why they kept themselves away from the person who genuinely carried light in their life. You, my beloved child, they are thinking about you more than ever right now, not out of neediness, not out of desperation, but out of clarity, because the moment the dark influence was removed, your energy flooded back into their awareness, your voice echoed in their spirit, your presence started glowing again within their emotions. The confusion that once surrounded you is dissolving. The hesitation that once held them back is weakening. The fear that once made them distant is losing its power. Right now, your soulmate is processing one of the biggest emotional revelations of their life. I was never the problem. I was just trapped. And as they come to this realization, another truth rises inside them. The person who brought peace to my heart was the one I kept resisting. That person is you. Do not underestimate the shift happening inside them. They are not the same person they were yesterday. Something in their spirit broke open, something that had been locked for a long time. They are seeing their past with new eyes. They are seeing their mistakes. They are seeing the people who hurt them. And they are seeing the people who truly cared. My beloved child, you are part of their healing. Your presence has always been a safe space for them. Your energy has always felt genuine to them. Your connection has always felt different, pure, gentle, and real. This is why the darkness tried to keep them away from you, because your love would have healed them. The season of confusion is beginning to loosen its grip, and what remains is something far more valuable than certainty about another person's actions. It is clarity about the journey of the heart. Right now, your soulmate may be standing at a crossroads within themselves, facing emotions they have avoided for a long time. There is a delicate process unfolding, one that cannot be rushed or forced. They are beginning to understand patterns they once ignored, boundaries they never fully honored, and lessons that life has been quietly trying to teach them. Growth often arrives disguised as discomfort, and healing rarely follows a straight line. Some days bring confidence, while others bring reflection and unanswered questions. Yet beneath it all, there is movement, there is awareness, there is a gradual awakening to what truly matters. If you care for this person deeply, remember that their journey belongs to them. It is not your responsibility to carry their burdens or solve every struggle they face. The most meaningful thing you can offer is your own stability. Continue nurturing your life, your peace, and your sense of self. Genuine connections are strengthened when both people learn how to stand firmly on their own rather than leaning on one another for completion. Trust that what is meant to be understood will become clear in time. The answers they seek cannot be given through pressure, persuasion, or constant reassurance. They must discover them through their own experiences and reflections. By allowing space for that process, you create an environment where honesty can eventually emerge. Sometimes the strongest expression of love is not pursuit, but patience. It is having enough faith in the connection to let growth happen naturally without demanding immediate results or certainty. They will come with intention. They will come with respect. They will come with emotion. They will come because they choose you, not because they need someone, not because they want distraction, not because they are lonely, but because they finally recognize your value. This moment is not the end of anything. It is the beginning of the transformation you were waiting for. What was hidden has been revealed. What was blocking has been removed. What was confusing has been cleared. What was delaying has been shifted. The path is opening, quietly, slowly, but surely. And, my beloved child, this is only the beginning. My beloved child, there is something unfolding right now in the unseen. Something so delicate, so precise, so divinely timed, that even if you tried, you would not be able to fully understand how perfectly everything is aligning for you. You may feel like things are chaotic, like this situation around your soulmate's past lover being in custody is too dramatic, too heavy, too unexpected. But what you cannot see is how deeply this moment is connected to your destiny. What looks like chaos on the outside is divine order on the inside. You must understand, my beloved child, that your soulmate has spent years walking through inner battles they never voiced. They carried emotional wounds so quietly that the world believed they were strong and unaffected. They smiled at people, they worked, they lived their life, but inside, they were tired, they were drained. They were constantly fighting the shadows of the past that kept whispering into their heart, trying to pull them back into places they no longer belonged. The person from their past, the one now in custody, was not just an ex. They were a voice, a manipulation, a trauma, a memory that refused to die. Even when the relationship ended, the impact continued living inside your soulmate's emotions, twisting their clarity, shaping their decisions, and silently dragging their heart away from the connections that could heal them, including you. My beloved child, you noticed this, didn't you? You noticed moments where they suddenly became distant, without reason, moments where they got close to you, then abruptly pulled away, moments where they wanted to express something, but fear stopped them, moments where you felt them longing for you, but not acting on it. You saw all of this, and it confused you. It made you question your own worth. It made you wonder if you were imagining the connection. It made you feel like maybe they didn't care. But what you did not know back then is that they were being emotionally controlled by a part of their past that refused to release them. You never stood a chance against a trauma they hadn't healed yet, not because you were not enough, but because they were not free. They were tied to the past through guilt, fear, manipulation, and emotional memory. They believed they had moved on, but the truth is, they were carrying pieces of that person's voice in their mind. And that voice sabotaged everything your soulmate tried to build. It didn't matter how gentle your presence was. It didn't matter how genuine your energy was. It didn't matter how safe they felt with you. Inside their heart, the past kept whispering lies into their ears. You can't trust love. You don't deserve happiness. You will hurt again. Stay where you are, it's safer. No one will ever understand you like I did. Those whispers weren't real. They weren't truth. They were manipulation echoing inside their mind long after the relationship ended. And then, my beloved child, when destiny sensed that your soulmate's connection with you was becoming stronger, when the universe felt that the two of you were emotionally aligning, when the light between you began to rise, this past lover felt threatened. They sensed the shift. They sensed the emotional awakening happening within your soulmate. They sensed the quiet pull that drew your soulmate toward you. And instead of healing themselves, instead of accepting the end, instead of letting destiny move freely, they acted in darkness. They did something that crossed a boundary, something harmful, something reckless, something illegal. Not because they loved your soulmate, but because they feared losing control. My beloved child, this is why they are in custody now. This is why the universe intervened. This is why the truth surfaced. What they did is not something small. It is not something that could be ignored. It is not something that could be pushed under a rug. It is something that revealed their true intentions. Intentions that were never pure, never peaceful, never aligned with your soulmate's growth. You have to understand something extremely important in this moment. Your soulmate was protected from something you did not see. If this person had not been stopped now, your connection with your soulmate would have continued to face delays. Your spiritual bond would have remained clouded. Your soulmate's emotional healing would have been slowed, and the love destined for you would have remained blocked. This moment looks like destruction to the world, but spiritually, it is liberation. At this stage of the journey, it feels as though every emotion exists at once. There is relief in finally seeing situations more clearly, but that relief is tangled with uncertainty about what comes next. There is sadness for time that cannot be reclaimed, confusion about decisions that once seemed reasonable, and a growing awareness of how deeply past experiences can influence present choices. When people begin to understand themselves more honestly, they often revisit old memories with new eyes. Moments that once felt insignificant suddenly carry meaning. Conversations are remembered differently. Small acts of kindness stand out in ways they never did before. In the quiet spaces between distractions, there is often a recognition of who consistently brought comfort, patience, and understanding without demanding anything in return. What once blended into the background becomes impossible to overlook. The realization can be both comforting and painful. Comforting because genuine care is rare and memorable, and painful because appreciation sometimes arrives later than expected. Questions naturally arise during this kind of reflection. Why were certain people taken for granted? Why were protective walls built around opportunities for connection? Why was fear allowed to speak louder than trust? These questions do not always have immediate answers, but they mark the beginning of growth. At the same time, it is important to remember that another person's healing cannot be carried by someone else. Every individual must face their own lessons, process their own emotions, and find their own path toward clarity. Growth happens when there is space to reflect, not when there is pressure to arrive at conclusions quickly. Sometimes the most meaningful thing a person can do is allow events to unfold naturally, trusting that understanding develops best when it is not forced. Patience does not guarantee an outcome, but it creates room for honesty, self-discovery, and authentic change. If you demand, they will shut down. Let them come to you, not out of loneliness, not out of emotional collapse, but out of clarity. You have waited this long. You can allow destiny to unfold gently. Your soulmate will reach out. Your soulmate will speak. Your soulmate will express their heart, but the version of them that approaches you will be healed, awakened, and emotionally open, not lost, confused, or wounded. The universe is cleaning their heart before bringing them to you. And my beloved child, when they finally come, something beautiful will happen. Their past will no longer interfere. Their trauma will no longer control them. Their fear will no longer silence them. Their confusion will no longer cloud your connection. They will choose you with both heart and clarity. This moment of chaos is simply the breaking of the old, the dissolving of the shadows, the removal of interference. You are moving closer to your destined moment without even realizing it. And as much as this journey has hurt you at times, you will soon see why everything needed to happen exactly the way it did. My beloved child, there is something shifting so deeply in your soulmate's spirit right now that even the air around them feels different. The energy they carry is changing. The way they think is changing. The way they look at their own life is changing. And all of this began the moment truth finally forced its way into the open. The moment their past lover's mask fell. The moment the darkness that followed them for so long was finally exposed. You may not realize it, but what happened recently has triggered one of the most powerful spiritual awakenings your soulmate has ever experienced. It has opened a wound inside them, yes, but it also opened their eyes. And sometimes, my beloved child, pain is the only force strong enough to break a soul free from emotional chains. For so long your soulmate lived in a kind of spiritual fog. They thought they were making their own choices, but they were not truly free. Their heart was caught between guilt and manipulation. They believed they moved on, but their emotions were still tied to a past that refused to let go. And every time fate tried to push them toward you, that old emotional bond pulled them back. But now, the bond is broken. Now, the shadow has been removed. Now, your soulmate can finally see what was hidden from them. My beloved child, listen to what I tell you. Your soulmate is not healing from heartbreak. They are healing from deception. Not from love, but from illusion. Not from a relationship, but from emotional captivity. The person who is now in custody did something that shocked your soulmate to their core. Not just because it was wrong, not just because it was dangerous, but because it revealed the truth they had been avoiding for years. This person never loved me. They only wanted to control me. That realization broke them open. It shattered the belief they had been holding on to. It exposed every moment they ignored their intuition. It forced them to accept the truth they were afraid to see. And now, your soulmate is standing at a place they have never stood before. A place where they finally see the difference between what hurt them and what heals them. Between what drained them and what nurtured them. Between what consumed them and what connects with them. Between their past and their destiny. And my beloved child, you are part of that destiny. They feel it now more than ever. But before you step into that place together, there is a journey they must walk. A journey that is painful, cleansing, and transforming. And right now, your soulmate is walking through that inner storm. They are questioning everything. How did I let this happen? Why didn't I trust my instincts? Why did I stay silent about my pain? Why did I push away the person who genuinely cared about me? Why did I hurt the one who brought peace into my life? Their mind is full of thoughts. Their heart is full of regret. Their soul is full of awakening. My beloved child, they are not thinking about romance right now. They are thinking about truth. They are trying to rebuild their self-esteem. They are trying to understand why they tolerated manipulation for so long. They are trying to forgive themselves for not seeing the signs earlier. They are trying to piece their identity back together. This emotional unraveling is necessary. Without it, they would repeat the same patterns. Without it, they would bring their pain into your connection. Without it, they would still be carrying invisible wounds. Growth often requires a period of stillness that can feel frustrating when viewed from the outside. When someone is rebuilding their sense of self, they are learning to separate who they truly are from the fears, expectations, and past experiences that once guided their decisions. This process is rarely quick or straightforward. There are moments of confidence followed by moments of doubt, periods of clarity followed by questions that still need answers. Yet every step contributes to a stronger foundation. Before a person can participate fully in a healthy relationship, they often need to understand what emotional security, trust, and mutual respect actually look like. They need to recognize the difference between genuine connection and patterns rooted in fear or familiarity. This kind of self-discovery changes the way they see both themselves and the people around them. They begin to appreciate qualities they may have overlooked before, including honesty, patience, emotional maturity, and consistency. These qualities create a sense of stability that stands apart from temporary excitement or uncertainty. As their perspective shifts, they become more aware of what they want to build in their future and what they no longer wish to carry with them. The path forward may not be immediate, but it becomes more intentional. Decisions are made with greater awareness rather than impulse. Feelings are acknowledged instead of avoided. Most importantly, they begin to understand that meaningful relationships are not sustained by perfect circumstances, but by openness, effort, and mutual care. That understanding marks the beginning of a new chapter, one shaped less by old fears and more by the possibility of something genuine, balanced, and lasting. Do not think they forgot you. Do not think they replaced you. Do not think they stopped caring. Do not think they chose someone else over you. The truth is far more emotional than that. They pushed you away because they were afraid you would discover the parts of them they were ashamed of, the parts that were broken, the parts that were wounded, the parts that were confused, the parts that were still emotionally tied to their past. They didn't want you to see their weakness. They didn't want you to see their fear. They didn't want you to see their trauma. They didn't want you to see their lack of clarity. So instead of asking you to stay, they distanced themselves. Instead of opening up, they closed their heart. Instead of choosing healing, they chose silence. But none of those decisions came from lack of feeling. Every one of those decisions came from insecurity, and now they finally see it. They are learning that pushing you away did not protect you. It only hurt themselves. They are learning that avoiding their emotions did not keep them safe. It kept them stuck. They are learning that ignoring their heart did not erase the connection. It intensified it. Your soulmate is awakened now. They see the truth. They feel the reality. They understand the depth of what you brought into their life. But right now, my beloved child, they need space to rebuild their emotional world, and you must give it to them gently, because the version of them that is coming back to you will not be confused. They will not be scared. They will not be tied to the past. They will not be easily manipulated. They will come with clarity, stability, openness, honesty, readiness. And when they speak to you, their words will be different. Their energy will be different. their intentions will be different. They will apologize, not out of guilt, but out of realization. They will express, not out of pressure, but out of truth. They will choose, not out of loneliness, but out of love. My beloved child, your connection is not ending, it is transforming, and the transformation is leading both of you toward the moment destiny wrote long ago. My beloved child, listen closely as I guide your heart through the final part of this message. Let your spirit slow down, let your breath soften, because what I am about to reveal will not just answer the questions in your mind, it will release a weight that has been sitting quietly inside you for years. You have walked through confusion, you have walked through fear, you have walked through the shadows created by other people's actions. But now, in this moment, I want you to understand something deeper, something far more powerful. Nothing that was done in the darkness, nothing that was plotted behind your back, nothing that was meant to harm you, will ever be strong enough to destroy the love that I have written for your soul. You may not realize it yet, but your soulmate has been fighting battles silently. They have been carrying wounds from their past that they never told you about. They have been protecting you from things you didn't even know were coming toward you. And this entire situation with their past lover, the person now in police custody, the person whose actions shocked everyone, the person who tried to interfere with your connection, it all happened because your union with your soulmate carries a spiritual weight that the wrong people could not handle. The truth is, some people cannot stand watching others receive a love that they themselves lost. Some hearts cannot tolerate seeing the person they hurt finally finding someone who treats their soul with gentleness. Some minds become unstable when they realize that the chapter they thought they still controlled has finally closed forever. Your soulmate's past lover lived with a kind of bitterness that slowly poisoned their decisions. At first, they tried to ignore your soulmate's happiness. Then, they tried to pretend they didn't care. But inside, the jealousy grew like a storm that had no intention of calming down. They watched quietly from a distance. They observed your soulmate move on. They saw the light returning in your soulmate's life. And somewhere deep within them, something snapped. The actions they took, the reason they are now in police custody, were not sudden. They were born from a long pattern of obsession, insecurity, and unresolved pain. Your soulmate tried to warn this person. Your soulmate tried to maintain peace. Your soulmate even kept certain details hidden from you because they didn't want you to feel unsafe. Your soulmate thought the situation would fade on its own. They believed this person would eventually let go, heal, and move forward. But instead, they chose the path of darkness. They chose to do something that crossed the line between heartbreak and danger. What happened next caught everyone off guard. The choices that unfolded sent shockwaves through the lives of those involved, leaving your soulmate facing a flood of emotions they could barely put into words. There was fear about what might happen next, sadness for everything that had been lost, relief that a difficult chapter was finally ending, and even guilt for having remained connected to a situation that had become so unhealthy. Yet through all of it, one truth remained unchanged. You were never responsible for the choices other people made. The circumstances that developed were not caused by you, nor were they a reflection of your worth or the future that awaits you. Sometimes, people become entangled in relationships that slowly wear them down, not because they want to suffer, but because they keep hoping things will improve. Your soulmate spent far too long trying to understand someone they could not help, offering patience where boundaries were needed, and giving chances where change never truly followed. They held on to the belief that loyalty alone could heal what was broken, only to discover that lasting change must come from within the person who seeks it. Over time, the emotional weight of that connection drained their energy and dimmed parts of themselves they had once cherished. Walking away was not easy. It required courage, acceptance, and the willingness to leave behind familiar pain in order to pursue something healthier. For a while, the ending felt messy and overwhelming, but distance brought perspective. What once seemed like a devastating loss gradually revealed itself as an opportunity for growth and renewal. As difficult circumstances began to unfold, your soulmate started to recognize that some endings are not signs of failure. Sometimes they are the turning points that allow a person to rediscover themselves, heal old wounds, and move forward with greater wisdom, clarity, and hope. No one can stop it. No one can reverse it. No one can interfere with the karma that has already been triggered. But I want to talk about you, my child, your heart, your mind, your spirit, because all of this chaos might have caused you to question things. Should I stay? Should I trust my soulmate? Should I fear what might come next? Should I protect myself more? Should I be worried about their past affecting our future? Let me answer every question with complete clarity. You are safe. You are protected. You are chosen. And you are not walking into danger. You are walking into a destiny that is now being cleared of all obstacles. This situation had to come out. This truth had to surface. This person had to be removed. Their energy was a spiritual block, and destiny could not move forward until they were taken out of the path. Your soulmate had been emotionally imprisoned by their past, but now, the chains have broken, the interference has ended, the danger has dissolved, the cycle has closed, and your soulmate, for the first time in a long time, feels free enough to breathe again, free enough to love again, free enough to build again, free enough to step into a future they were once terrified of losing. Your soulmate is now seeing things with new clarity. They understand your value in ways they never fully expressed. They understand your loyalty, your patience, your intuition, your purity, your heart, and above all, your role in their life. They now see that you are not just someone they love, you are someone they were meant for. The fear they once had, fear of failing you, fear of not deserving you, fear of their past interfering with their future, is slowly melting away, because now they realize something undeniable. You have stood beside them, without even knowing what dangers were hiding behind the curtain. You stayed connected even when confusion tried to separate you. You loved them, without asking for explanations or justifications. You trusted them, even when you didn't know the full story. And this has awakened something powerful in their heart. They are ready to choose you openly. The person meant to walk beside you is no longer questioning what they feel. In their heart, a quiet certainty has taken root, and with it comes the desire to protect, nurture, and strengthen the connection you share. What once felt like a distant dream is beginning to take shape as something real, a partnership built on trust, understanding, and the kind of peace both of you have searched for. And for you, this marks the beginning of an entirely new chapter. It is a season of growth, clarity, and forward movement, where old doubts lose their power, and yesterday's struggles no longer define tomorrow's possibilities. The challenges that once seemed overwhelming are gradually making way for opportunities, lessons, and meaningful changes that are guiding you toward where you are meant to be. Life is not working against you. It is arranging circumstances in ways you may not fully understand yet, creating space for something better to enter your world. As time unfolds, conversations that have been waiting to happen will finally take place. Feelings that remained unspoken will find their voice. Honest words will be shared, not to create worry or reopen old wounds, but to reveal appreciation, gratitude, and the depth of a bond that has continued to grow beneath the surface. This part of the journey is not about fear or uncertainty. It is about stepping into a future with greater confidence, freedom, and hope. The road ahead carries the promise of new beginnings, stronger connections, and moments that remind you why patience was necessary. Trust that you are moving towards something meaningful and allow yourself to welcome it with an open heart.